Yo, what's up ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ndifon Ntui. On this channel I make sewing tutorials. I post new videos on Monday, Wednesday and on Saturdays. If you like what I do here, make sure to give my videos a like. If you have not subscribed already, like 44% of you haven't, make sure to do so. Alright, if you are a beginner or if you're personal to brush up on your skills, I offer online courses. I'll be showing a demo on how to make a jumpsuit for you to watch, so you decide if learning online will be convenient for you. Alright, so thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate your support. I will see you on the next video, but first enjoy this video. Bye bye. Alright, welcome to today's video. In this video I'm going to show you how to make a poncho or with a collar on top. This can also be applied to if you are making a bubu dress. You can also use this, and this method will work. So to begin, for the width of the shoulder, as from here to here, I'm going to use 45. That's the entire width of my fabric. If you have 60, depending on how long you want it to be. Now when I say the width of the shoulder, usually the bubu starts from somewhere around here, okay, and it comes around the shoulder and goes the other way. So for me, I'm using 45. If you make it 60, it might end up being longer than 45 that I'm using. So I'm going to use this one here, this part here. That's the width of the length of the fabric as that part of my shoulder. Okay, so this white part here is where we measure 1 yard, 2 yards, and so on and so forth. So I'm going to use here as the shoulder part. Okay, so I'm going to fold this in half, and the next thing I'm going to place is my dress length. So you're going to fold this in half like so. Place this on the table. So after you have folded it, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to place my dress length. Okay, so I'm going to come from the shoulder. The dress length I'm working with is 36. I'm going to add 2 inches to that 38. I'm going to consume half inch when I'm doing the shoulder and 1.5 when I'm hemming the bottom of my poncho. So I'm going to come from here on the top, 36. So I'm going to come to 38 like I said I would, and I'm going to make a mark here. So we have cut this. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to cut the back. So as for the back, we are not going to use, we're going to need the pattern we just drafted to cut the back. So what we're going to do is this. Now remember, when we're cutting the back just now, we used the width of the length, we used the length of the fabric. So that was 45 from here to here. But when we are trying to cut the front, because of how we intend to go about it, I need you to fold it not like that, but you're going to fold it like this, like you would normally fold. You're going to fold it on the width of the fabric. So when you count your 1 yard, 2 yard, 3 yard, you will fold it on that part of your fabric. So as you can see, the back is still bigger than the front. Now when you are folding, you want to fold and make sure that the part that you are folding now has an excess of 2.5 inches or 2.5 inches wider than the back. Okay, so the front, by the time you are done folding, should be 2.5 inches wider than the So now I have folded it with an excess of 2.5 inches in front. I'm going to cut away the excess fabric down here that I do not need. Alright, then now I'm going to cut here shorter. Okay, so you see from here to here is the length that I have of 38 inches. So I have some excess here. I'm going to cut it off. You can save this excess and use it to cut your collar. Okay. Okay, so the next thing you're going to do is you're going to come here, okay, on the fabric, and you're going to make a notch. See this? You're going to make a notch to show that this is where the back stops. Because this one that we're drafting underneath is the front. So we first cut the back and use that to cut the front. So this notch tells us that this is where the back stops, and this from here forward is where we have our excess. You're going to notch the top, you're going to notch the bottom as well. Okay, so you see this, after you're done with this, you can take off the back, drop it on your sewing machine. Very soon we'll move over to the sewing machine, and because of how we cut it, because of how we fold it, this side of your back will still be, of the front, sorry, will still be sealed, but you need it to be open, this part here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut here open. So now the next thing I'm going to do, let's iron the zipper. See these 2 inches, this 2.5 we kept in front. This part here is what we're going to use to create our allowance for our zipper. I was saying zipper all along, sorry. This side, I wanted to iron one side for the buttons and the other side for the buttonhole. So let me go ahead to show you how to iron this. Alright, so first of all, we'll start with the side that we intend to use as our for the zipper. Okay, so you're going to heat up your iron, and then I want you to fold and iron it. But what you're going to do is, you see this notch that you have here, you're not going to fold exactly on the notch. You're going to come 1 inch after the notch and fold. So you see this, we're going to come 1 inch after. If it will be easier for you, you can iron it from the front so that you see exactly where your 1 inch is. Alright, after you've gotten your 1 inch line, you're going to simply hem the bottom part in like so. This is the part that we intend to use for that will hold the buttons. So we're going to stitch this down, but first of all, iron it. Alright, so now on the other side that I have here, this part here is where I'm going to fix my buttonholes. So for this part, I'm going to use hemming gum to secure it because I don't want it to have any thread running up the top part. So I'm going to simply do what I did before. I'm going to fold 1 inch away from where we notched from top to bottom, and then I'm going to bring in my hemming gum into the mix. Okay. So if you remember, there were 2 of them, 2 sides that we hemmed. One I said is going to act as your buttonhole, the part that will hold your buttons. This is it. Remember, we didn't iron any hemming gum under here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch here down. Alright, so after you have made your button, you've stitched down your button, the part of your plackets that will hold down your buttons, sorry. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to bring the part that we ironed hemming gum onto, the part that's supposed to hold our buttonholes, and you're going to place it on top of here, and then you're going to simply come 1 inch after the top. See this, 1 inch after the top, and you're going to hold it down securely. Okay, and then next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to stitch across. I'm going to attach the back to the front across here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to simply come to the beginning, and we're going to start to join. And we're going to start to join it together from here across to the other side. Alright, when you're done with that, you're going to keep pinning this part here down. Alright, so now after you have pinned here, you can see the pins I applied. The next thing we're going to do is you're going to need to place the person's neck measurement. Now make sure that you bend here properly. So you see this, you don't want this here to be flat. You want to fold the fabric into 2 equal halves. So you see here, you're going to fold this your shoulder that you just stitched across into half. Make sure it is equal. Okay, you need to be very careful with this. When you have done that, okay, the next step is to draw your neckline, which is what I'm going to do now. So in order to draw the neckline, you need to take the circumference around the person's neck. So the neck I'm working with is 14.5. Alright, so before you start to place your neck, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to come up here. Please don't use marker on the clothes that you intend to wear if you're not, but if you're making it for free, like I'm making it for my wife, then you can do whatever you want. So from this joining where you have your shoulder, this line will have your shoulder joining, you're going to mark 1 inch like that away from here. This is where you will start from and go down. So most of your neckline will be in front. You're going to divide your neckline by so 14.5 divided by 2 is 7.25. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ditch the numbers behind the decimal point, and I'm going to simply just use 7 straight. Okay, so I'm going to mark here using 7. Starting from here, I'm going to try to make a sweet curve using 7 around here. Okay, so I'm going to simply mark around 7 that I've gotten. Okay, and that has been done. Next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to cut open my neckline. Okay, so now you are safe to take out all the pins. Now we have our neckline and our button, so we can make our buttonhole space. But before I go ahead to make my collar, what I'm going to do is I'm going to strengthen this edge. Now remember, we didn't lock around here because we didn't know how the circle will look. So around where you have the edges here, you're going to go inside, lock here and lock here. After that, I'm going to go ahead to build the collar that is meant for this neckline. Okay, now if you don't know how to build a shirt collar, go and watch my video on how to cut and sew a shirt collar. I have one on this channel. You'll see a collar on the thumbnail. Watch that video to give you instructions on what to do, on how to go about building a collar. Now before you draft the collar, make sure that you measure from here all the way through the collar to the other side. Alright, so this is what I have. Alright, this is what I've drafted. So if you know how to make this, or if you don't know how to, watch the video and you will see how I went about building the collar. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to attach it to the neckline. Okay, so you're going to pick up the side that I didn't stitch down. The side that I didn't stitch down, align it with the collar. You're going to simply stitch from one end all the way across. So the next step, which is hemming the bottom of the dress, alright, which is what I'm going to do now. But before we hem the bottom of the dress, you see the sides that we have. So on this side here, you're going to hem it by 1/2 inch, which is what I'm going to do now. Alright, so after stitching both sides of the side, so you see what I just did now was to neatly finish the side. The next thing we're going to do is to hem the bottom of the poncho. Now remember, I said we'll hold 1.5 at the bottom. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to head back to my ironing table now, and on both sides of the down part, I'm going to fold 1/2 inch first and iron, and then I'm going to collapse it by 1 inch. That's how I intend to consume the 1.5 inches that I talked about. So let me go ahead, iron that. I'll be back to stitch it. Alright, so here we have the collar. This is our zipper allowance. So sorry, I keep on saying zipper allowance. Our buttonhole. So at this point you have a choice of no, not a choice. At this point you can mark out your buttonholes wherever you want them and install buttons on the other side. But I don't want buttons to run all the way down personally, but at this point you can still make your buttonholes all the way down, space them with a space of around 2.5 inches so that it doesn't open when you move. So 2.5 inches between each button, at most 3 inches is okay. But for me, I'm going to close it up from here all the way down, and I'm going to leave some space so that my wife's hair can pass through. So I'm going to keep a space from the neckline. I'm going to keep a space of like 7 inches before I make this stitch and make it now. Alright, so the very next stitch is simply to stitch on the side here, and we'll be done. Just to seal it up, I'm going to keep a space of 10 inches for her arm. That is more than enough, okay, before I start to stitch down. But after I make this stitch, I'm pretty much done. If you've watched this far, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.